Hi, folks. Thanks for joining us. I see we've only got, well, just one person. So I'm hoping I'll hear from you in the chat or something because right now it's just you and me. Hello, Wendy. Why, thank you, Wendy. Glad to hear from you. Where are you from, Wendy? What's up, Pat? Glad you joined us. Hello, Brenda. Glad you're here. Appreciate the kind of kind comments that you share with us so often. New York, like the city or the state or both? Owl Shades of Gray. Owl Shades of Gray. The best of the best. Gosh, Wendy, you should really be here more often. Thank you. Sacramento, California. We shot in Sacramento, California last year. We shot some stories there in, I want to say the town was called Marysville, but I'm not sure, but near Sacramento. We flew into Sacramento. Caton. Nobody knows where that is. I know it's in New York. So that's something, right? I know it's in New York. I am live today. We have East Coast and West Coast with us. How great. You're definitely right, Brenda. I appreciate that. Wendy, thank you. We've had several inquiries from people in New York wanting to share their stories, and we're probably going to do that sometime later this year. We're probably going to come somewhere in New York. Maybe not New York City, but maybe we've had inquiries from Long Island and New York City. Wow, look at this rush of comments just like that. That's great. Hello, Ren. Thank you for joining us. Paul's the legend. Sure you are. Okay. How difficult is it to film people who are grieving so often? Does it ever take a personal toll on you? Love your work and your channel. Thanks for what you do. Thank you, Paul. So we kind of get this question a lot. And I can tell you, I can tell you it isn't difficult. The reason why it isn't difficult is because I know about the reward at the end. I know that after we're through talking with a storyteller and they've gone through this painful story, and during the interview, I lead them down a path that takes them through the worst experience of their lives. I know that when it's done, they're going to feel a little bit better. And you see it. Today, I interviewed 4 or 5 people today. And you see it happen with all of them. As they get near the end of the story, they start realizing that they've created a kind of value to their loss. And so I get to help make that happen. So it's not hard because I know that's coming. I know that I get to help this person feel better. And then when the story gets published, 2 or 3 months later, because we have a lot of stories to work through and there's editing involved, substantial editing. And so I know that 2 or 3 months later, when the story gets published, it happens again. The storyteller gets to see a little bit of value come out of losing their loved one. They get to see their loved one sort of live on by helping others. I don't know, but what it boils down to is no, it's not hard. I hear some hard things, and when I'm alone editing these videos, yeah, sometimes I cry a little bit and I get choked up and it hurts a little bit. But I know about that reward at the end too. So it's an awesome thing. So let me catch up a little bit, Rin. I do have a story to tell. My sister sure does too, and even my aunt. Okay, Wendy, we can make that happen. Amazing as a whole person. Gosh, Wendy, you're killing me here. Thank you. I do have a story to tell. My sister does too, and even my aunt. We have we have a. I'll talk in a few minutes about how the process of creating one of our storytelling summits works. It's a pretty simple process, really. Wendy, this is a family and generational disease. All of our stories would be amazing to see and hear. Of course, absolutely. That we have storytellers within the fentanyl series alone. We have victims that range in age from, I believe our oldest is now 64 years old, and the youngest victim is 15 months old. And so anyone who thinks that I'm not at risk is just stupid. I don't know any other way to say it other than it's stupid. We're all at risk. Karen says, hi, everyone living in Port St. Lucie, Florida, transplanted here from the beautiful upstate New York. Port Lucie, Florida, no clue where that is, but I am in Florida right now. I am near Cocoa Beach, Florida. I actually saw a rocket launch today. Saw the vapor trail from the rocket launch. I missed the actual launch. I didn't know it was going to happen to the people around here. It's not that big a deal. So Wendy says, my sister is in North Carolina, my aunt is in Virginia, and my uncle is a mess. So we've shot stories in North Carolina and we shot stories in Virginia. And Pat, who I believe is still here, Pat is working on getting us back to Virginia, and that's probably going to happen sometime. Seems like during the summer is likely. Wendy, love you so much, Glenn. Oh, you're killing me, Wendy. Thank you. I want elementary kids to know. Yeah, it sure is. Wendy, I'm very sorry for your loss. I want elementary schools to know. I'm with an organization called Fentanyl Fathers, and our goal is to bring fentanyl awareness to every high school and every middle school in the United States. Fentanyl awareness presentations. And we're advancing pretty well. We're 15, 16 states now. Wife and I went to a diner tonight. Waitress wasn't quite her normal self. She has to she could share with us because she knew of my profession. Her sister's best friend's 19-year-old was poisoned. This morning we had a moment in the diner. He's in psychosis. Your uncle is in psychosis? Wendy, is that who you're talking about? The next big drug is ketamine. Maybe. It's one of the next big ones. There's also xylazine and carfentanil and others. One of the things people don't really talk about is the demand. If we Americans don't do something to get the demand under control, it's never going to get any better, because as long as there's demand, supply finds a way. Wendy and Pat, I will put your friends and family on my prayer list. Good job, Brenda. Love seeing you here. Drugs are rampant in my family. I'm sorry, Wendy. I'm adopted, and maybe I should share my own story. Maybe so, Wendy. How old were you when you were adopted? While I wait for an answer to that question, I'm going to read on. Wendy, mine too, which is why we must not give up. Fentanyl changed the rules. Now it's killing so many. Wendy, I'm so involved with this. Oh, yes. They took all of his meds away, but he couldn't just go without some of them. Yeah, there's a lot of rules out there that are just knee-jerk kind of reactions that, because they're not thought out very well, they lead to more problems. Wendy, your answer is 4. You were adopted at the age of 4. You remember? Yeah. Adoption doesn't change the nurture aspect of addiction. Then, if addiction was the reason for the adoption, the child is still getting a double whammy. He went crazy. Sorry, Wendy. So, yeah, I was adopted too. I was adopted at birth, and it has never been an issue to me. I have the advantage of knowing that my parents wanted me, and my parents worked to get me. Didn't just get pregnant. I thought they were my parents and being taken from them. Yeah, that's tough. That's got to be a rough thing. That's not my history. Yeah. Oh my God. Really? Yeah. I was adopted too. I was adopted at birth. What I know about my birth parents is my mother was a legal secretary and my father was a lawyer. And I know more stuff, but I'm sorry yours was awful. Right. I never knew anyone else. I have had a great life. My parents cared for me very well all through the whole time I was growing up. I was very blessed. Dee's, glad you could join us. Dee's, good to see you here again. Both mind and body are capable of healing themselves if only people were more graceful to themselves. All shades of gray. We can't control anything that happened to us most of the time. We can control how we choose to cope. That's it. That's that's a giant thing. Owl Shades of Gray, which is a giant name. Yeah, there's what happens, and then sorry, and then how we deal with what happens. And how we deal with what happens is something we have control over. Glad you're here, Dees. So, Wendy, you feel like you remember your biological parents. When I first saw a picture of my biological mother, my birth mother, I was around 50 years old. And when I saw her picture, something in my brain said, "Oh yeah, I remember her." I can't place why. It was weird. Then adopted parents, I was only scared and super confused. It was in the 70s. Nobody knew how to deal with that. Yeah, we're all growing, and we as a society are growing. The way we dealt with things in the 70s and 80s is way different from how we deal with things now because we've learned more. Thank you, Dees. Yeah, thumbs up. Thumbs up to the premiere that just finished a little while ago. I don't know. Gosh, I'm kind of a mess. It's been a long day. Been shooting stories all day, interviewing people here in Melbourne, Florida. We're near Cocoa Beach. Jules, we have a daughter who's sober for 3 years. We thought she would make it. We sadly lost her older sister last month. I'm very sorry. To what we can only speculate is a health issue. She was sober since 2011. Life is so unpredictable. Wendy, what? Wow, did you fall in love? Who you talking to, Wendy? I don't know. Jules, thank you for all you do. Thank you, Jules. I'm assuming you're talking to me. I'm so grateful to get to do what I do here, to get to help families and to get to share important messages. Brenda says today her brain needed the help. Yeah, I don't know, Brenda. Your brain seems pretty sharp. It seems sharper than you give it credit for. Sorry, I'm messing up things. I swear I could have a book or something. With your mom. Who you asking, Wendy? I don't know who you're talking to. Alan, shouldn't we ask the government to bring back the death penalty for drug dealers? Yeah, maybe. You know, drug dealers typically, well, of course I love my mom, Wendy. My mom, she's not my adopted mom, she's my mom. There's my mom, and then there's my birth mother. And I think highly of both of them. But back to death penalty for drug dealers. The thing is, the elephant in the room is the demand. As long as there's a demand, supply is going to find a way. One of the stories that we shot today, one of the interviews I had today, was a mother who talked about how her loved one's boyfriend had his own pill press. And that's here in the United States. Okay, let me try to catch up here. Demand equals supply. Yeah. It wasn't. Here's the thing. Netflix did not put Blockbuster out of business by going after the movie studios that supply movies as a product. Netflix put Blockbuster out of business by offering a better solution. So until there's a better solution than using drugs, the demand is going to be there. You have to look at it the same way you look at any other business. The business exists because there's a demand. Okay. Wendy, did you love your mother? Of course. My mother and father were both on drugs. I'm lucky to be normal. Yeah, what's normal? I don't know. Alan Delmar, not when the government is in on it. They're was partially responsible for it. Partially responsible for it. You know, I don't know how partially. I don't know how partially responsible they are. The same way a bus driver is partially responsible for anything that happens in the back of the bus. But that's not really a solution. Who's responsible isn't nearly as important as how to fix it. And how to fix it has to have to do with reducing demand. Demand is the big thing. Addiction is a wicked thing. Brenda says I fear the only solution is demand reduction. I think that's got to be the only solution. That's supply is a business thing. Cartels are in it for money. They're not in it to kill people. They're not in it for anything other than just to make money. And so create an environment where dealing drugs doesn't make money and drugs go away. Does anybody know where to buy horseshoes? Anybody know where to buy kerosene lamps or kerosene fuel? Wendy, you fit here. You fit here. I said partially because those who use must take accountability. Yeah, those who use are the demand. Alan, if there is the death penalty behind every OD and overt transaction over 10 grams makes the small dealers to pull out of the job. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that working. I believe we're going to be meeting with a district attorney for uh, one of the major counties. So, my wife. Oh my gosh. So, Wendy. Wendy, you do fit in. There's places where you fit in. There is. You fit in here. You're here, part of this group. You're always welcome here. And there's other places where you will always be welcome. And if you search your heart, you probably know where to find them. Pat says the kid that passed away in our town this morning had no prior use history. A friend got him to try a pill, his first pill. We have a lot of stories in our series like that, where it just started and ended with a single pill. Wendy, welcome and hugs and lots of love to you. Yeah, that's everyone feels that way, Wendy. We're all here for you. Alan says, sure, there's always demand, but how come there is not a high rate of death a month? Other countries in the US. I believe that's because demand is higher in the US. I believe. I suppose some Google research could produce numbers to compare drug use, addiction, overdoses between the United States and European Union or the UK or specific countries in Europe. I'm sure that Google research would provide some answers there, but I believe that it is more of a cultural thing here in the United States. Cool. Okay, Wendy, you got quiet. Alan says, sure, there's always, oh, I did that one. Jules, that is so awesome. One of the things that saved me on a dark day, Wendy, someone said, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's awesome, Jules. That's awesome. Vicky Mayo, recovery is possible, but I have to work for it to be accomplished. For sure. Accomplishing anything important pretty much takes work. You have to, sorry, you have to get in the right mindset, the right frame of mind before before recovery has any hope. You have to be motivated and you have to be sincere about it. Recovery just to humor someone in your life, it's not going to work. My recovery is rented and my rent is due every single day. That's good, Brenda. That's a good way to put it because it is a daily commitment. It is a constant vigilant way of life. I don't think it's right to call it a battle because that just sounds kind of unpleasant. But a vigilant, on guard kind of way of life, that's part of moving forward. Vicky says my sobriety has been since 1998, and thank you for AA for saving. Thank you AA. Thank you for AA for saving my life. We have a story. We have a couple of stories from an interview we did with a former White House drug czar who talks about AA and talks about the great value of AA and golly, and it's certainly worth watching. Sorry. Wendy says I want myself to matter and help others. I'm going to go on disability soon. I am more sad than anyone would know. My life from God. He let me be a CNA. All right. He let me what I feel like I should probably know this, but I don't. What is a CNA? Anybody? What's a CNA? I should get out more, I guess. Crazy Koontz. We'll go with that. Over here in Australia, we are starting to see a rise in fentanyl deaths and also other drugs cut with fentanyl too. Love your work, Glenn. I make sure to show these episodes to my children. That's awesome. Crazy. I think that's fantastic that you're sharing them. I'm sorry to hear that the problems are creeping into Australia. I've been there. I've been to Sydney and at Adelaide, something like that. I remember when I was there, across the street from my hotel was a, I don't know, oh, sorry, kind of like a saloon, and they were having a tournament, a Texas Hold'em tournament. I thought that was funny. Here I am on the other side of the world from Texas, my home, And here it is. Anyway, hey, thank you, Julie, certified nursing assistant. That's got to be cool. And thank you, Lisa, for the corrected answer after certified busting assistant. That sounds like an interesting job, too. Vicky Mayo, I was a nurse for many years. My doctor had to give up his practice due to severe Parkinson's. That's tough. Brenda says, D's, I did detox at home. I love AA and NA for sobriety, for some friends and family, but it's not for me. Yeah, everybody has to find their own way. AA isn't for everyone. AA and NA, they're really, from everything I've been told, they're the same thing. Basically, they're just different substances. I went through it. Wow. Okay. Wendy, I feel like I need to check on you every now and then. You doing okay? Because we're here for you. We're all here for you. So, was anyone, surely there's some people who were part of the premiere today. During the premiere, I was finishing up a video shoot here in the Cocoa Beach area in Florida. And so I wasn't able to participate in the live chat as much as I would have liked to because other things were going on. But it was important to get a new story out, and I felt like this is such a good story. It's a cool story, I thought, because it's a fentanyl story, but it's also a recovery story. So what did you guys think? Is there any people's comments? Anybody have any comments they'd like to share about the story that just premiered? I did CNA work prior to completing my BA in criminal justice. Wasn't for me. I come from a family of healthcare professionals. Well, okay. Where am I here? My nephew is 38, has been clean and sober for a few years. He lost all of his friends from his youth. So sad. He had to move across the country to get away from people, places, and things. That's a consistent solution, or a consistent element of the solution is changing your environment, moving. I still worry that if he were to relapse, it could end his life. Yeah, relapses are scary. Part of what makes relapses scary is if the person has been through detox, then their resistance is down. So the dose that they used to feel safe doing isn't safe anymore because their resistance is gone. Plus, with fentanyl and with counterfeit drugs in general, you don't know what the actual dose is. You just know what the history is. They're very important too. D's, no problems. Today's story was awesome, and today I needed it. Well, and there you are. Plus, my clean date is September 5, 2024, and Aaron is September 6, 2022. So she's showing me the road 2 years in my future. Erin is a great, powerful kind of story. She was wonderful to talk to. I remember the interview when we shot it in Richmond, and yeah, she's it's a great story. D's, I relapsed several times. I can't believe how amazing it feels to be free from that burden. Thank you, crazy. April 2nd, 23 years clean. 23 years. That's awesome. Good job. Al Shades of Gray, I'm proud of you. Jules, 2011, or sure the exact date. Was sick of them. That's it. That's something I hear a lot from recovery stories is they just got to the point where they were sick of it. They just didn't want to deal with it anymore. Jules, NBC, pregnancy never went back to drinking. Al, I absolutely did. Mm. Amazing 23 is one of my favorite numbers. Lisa, I have watched all of your documentaries. Much respect. You allow parents to tell their stories and find a little bit of peace from their grief. I like, I like how you put that. Peace from their grief. I feel very, very grateful to get to be a part of making these stories. I feel very grateful to be a part of making these stories. To get to take such a terrible, terrible experience and turn it into something that has some value, that gives a little bit of value to loss, value in that the story could save someone else. Yeah. So, yes, to God be the glory always, but when is it not? This is something that I've struggled with since I was a little kid. You hear that expression, to God be the glory. But if we're all God's children, wouldn't that mean that automatically the glory goes to God no matter who it goes to? I think when someone accomplished something as significant as recovery, to God be the glory. But rewarding the person in recovery for being in recovery, I think, is an important thing. All right, Dees, thanks for reminding. Where am I at? My two older brothers got the brunt of it. Dees, thank you for reminding me. Thank you for reminding me. Where am I at? Oh, come on, people! I'm behind here. Give me a second. You give God glory, God the glory always. My daughter saw me obliviated, and I will never forgive myself for that. Yeah, D's, that's a tough spot. But what did your daughter learn from that? Maybe there's something in what she learned that is beyond anything you or anyone else could have taught her. It's possible. Trying to keep my mind distance. I can't itch my eyes since I still have a sty. It's still itching, but it's less. It stopped hurting for now. Nicole, I don't know what that means. I don't, I don't, I don't know what you're really talking about. Brenda says, D's, thanks for reminding me. I hated days when I didn't have to wake up. Now I don't have to worry about that junk. I know I'm supposed to forgive myself, but damn. Yeah, D's and everyone else, you have to forgive yourself. If you don't forgive yourself, if you don't figure out a way to forgive yourself, you can't contribute as much as if you figured out how to forgive yourself. So it's important for the people around you to forgive yourself. Even if it's hard for you, get over it and forgive yourself and help the people around you. You know what I mean. Let me see where I'm at here. I know I'm supposed to forgive myself, but damn, yeah, we talked about that. Gosh. I'm going to have to switch to laptop now. Okay. Vicky Mayo, please never ever stop doing and let others heal from their losses. Yeah, I'm not gonna stop. It's my thing. We will apply this kind of storytelling concept to other topics, like we've applied it to human trafficking, and we've applied it to addiction recovery, and we've applied it to domestic violence, and we'll be applying it to other topics too. They're important stories. They're stories that matter. That's what we say on our channel. All right. As an addict, I think we're always in recovery. Yeah. Always in recovery. Recovery is a way of life. It's not a journey, even though we call our series Journey. Recovery is a way of life because you never finish the journey. Recovery stays a journey for the rest of your life. Am I still taking questions? Well, sure, Sarah, ask away. What's on your mind? Nicole Jordan, one of my favorite managers, told me that no one is perfect. Told me that no one is perfect, that no one is perfect. Exactly. Dee says, Brenda, yes, ma'am, I have, and she totally forgives me. She is the very best friend. Brenda says, addiction is a disease. Do diabetics feel guilty like we do? Nope. So if I have a disease that is now in remission. I am too busy being thankful to let guilt settle in and all the wicked things. Good one. Good one. Holy cow. Good one. Sarah, what's your question? What kind of question do you have for me, Sarah? Hmm. I'm curious how fentanyl is so cheap and so easy to get. Where's it coming from? Most of it is coming from China through Mexico. Most of it. Thing is, it's so cheap and so concentrated. It can be ordered online and delivered by FedEx or by DHL or the Postal Service or whatever without any difficulty. And so, as the thing is, the way that most fentanyl gets into the United States through the border with Mexico is by U.S. citizens. Over 86% of smugglers that are caught smuggling drugs from Mexico into the U.S. are American citizens. That's just a fact. You know, there's a whole lot of people on our channel who do this kind of argument that basically comes across as if a little kid's saying, "No, why would anyone buy that?" Facts are facts, and that's who gets caught. I was under the impression that things like this would get searched at customs. I guess I'm naive. No, you're not. You're not naive. It's well, you know, if no one tells you, you have to have a reason to want to learn about it. Because most people don't know about the de minimis loophole or the de minimis exception, which states that if something shipped into the United States is valued at $800 or less, it doesn't have to go through typical customs procedures. It isn't searched. That's right, Dees, it does. It gets smuggled in across the border. But the rest of that sentence is to say it gets smuggled in across the border by Americans. Americans working for the cartels, but it's still Americans doing it. Cartel doesn't care who gets caught. It's a money making thing for cartels. Right. It's money making because we're paying it. We're giving them money. We, Americans in general, American consumers, are giving them money to bring the drugs in here. The customs thing, the de minimis loophole, I hadn't heard about that until 7 or 8 months ago when one of our storytellers brought it up when we were interviewing her. Brenda says, Dees, you're welcome. It is hard to walk into the future if we have one foot stuck in the past. Over here in Australia, the Chinese have a 99-year lease of the port of Darwin So in reality, they have a free pass. Vicky Mayo, love is definitely one of them. Cartels. What? Grandmothers, grandfathers, sisters, brothers, and whoever they can imagine, whoever they can agree to do it. Sarah says if we're going to end up paying money for a drug to be brought in, I would like to vote for a better, safer drug. Yeah, that would be great. I don't know how to make that work. Nicole says if I didn't have two of my if I didn't have two of my favorite manager that truly me, cared for me, they know when something is wrong, even when I'm saying nothing is wrong. They know something is wrong. Yeah, you're blessed to have people like that in your life. You don't want to be surrounded by people you can deceive and it work. All right, folks, but it's going to be about that time to wrap it up. We've been here for an hour, and in case you haven't noticed by all the yawning, I'm a little bit tired. We, because I'm traveling with an imaginary friend, I guess. It's been a pretty long day. We've shot a bunch of interviews, packed up the set. Tomorrow we're driving to Jacksonville, Florida, and we'll be setting up again there to spend 2 days shooting more stories about fentanyl poisoning, and maybe we have a story that has to do with addiction recovery or human trafficking, maybe. So for the members here, I'm sorry I missed my cue for getting the latest story out publicly sooner this time. I'm just spread pretty thin right now, but we will get it public right now. And let me just say thanks one more time to everyone. Uh, Thank you, Stacy. Stacy, did you just get here? Did I miss you? Did you just sit there quietly and not say anything? Did you just join us? What happened? Deej, you're amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Crazy. Thank you, Stacy. No, but lurking. Lurking? Gee, Stacy. All right, fine. Ren, hugs to you, Nicole. I'm so glad that you understand and we're there for you. And we're there. That matters so much. Thanks for all you do, Glenn. Please be safe. Thank you, Brenda. Stacy, sometimes I love to listen. Yeah. Is it the beautiful thing about listening is that when you're listening, you're learning. When you're talking, you're not learning. When you're listening, you're learning. You're growing. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Dees. Thank you, Wendy. Wendy, and you guys, we're not on our usual arrangement here. So you notice that it's kind of a, I don't know what you would call it, other than a kind of a crappy looking camera compared to what we're usually doing. But this is what we got on the road. So I don't have graphics to show you, but I want you guys to remember you can email me anytime. And our email address, I'm going to type it in the chat. And I think it will work. There's our email address, info@texas-pictures.com. And you guys are all welcome to email me, and I will respond. I will do my absolute best to respond. Love to hear from any of you, from Dee's or Stacy or Wendy, Brenda. It's always great to hear from all of you guys. If you need anything from me, if there's anything I can help you with, you let me know. What time do you usually broadcast, Glenn? It's 11:53 in the morning here. And where are you? Are you the one in Australia? We don't. We're going to start making this a regular thing at specific times so that you guys can count on it. So that you guys can know, okay, that on at this time every Monday and Thursday, Texas Pictures will be live, but we haven't sorted that out yet. And right now I'm on the road, and for the next week and a half or so, I'm going to be on the road. Tomorrow I go to Jacksonville, and then after 2 days of shooting stories there, we're going to Pensacola for 2 more days, and then heading back to Houston. And then going on another trip. So anyway, we'll work on it. Right now here it is 9 o'clock. Not here. Here is 10 o'clock at night. And in Houston, it is 9 o'clock at night. Bruno, oh, you're killing me, dude. You're coming in late. Hi, there's so much prison volume to work in a place of persecution against bad judges who stole from the state, and I needed to stay, sit, and morphine helped me. Just remember that medicine is medicine. Medicine is medicine. Well, yeah. That's a pro and a con, I think. Anyway, yeah, 9 o'clock in Oklahoma, 9 o'clock here in 9 o'clock in Houston, 10 o'clock here in Florida. So thanks again for joining us, everyone. We're going to wrap it up for now. A long day, started at around 4 o'clock this morning, so had about enough. Depends on the medicine as a retired RN. Well, yeah. Thank you, Stacy. Bruno, broken and compressed C56. Oh my gosh. Bruno, that sounds rough. That's got to be a constant challenge just to keep your head straight, just to keep your sanity. But we got to wrap it up for now. Thank you, Dees. Thank you, Dees. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Pat, if you're still around. Jules. It'd be nice, Sarah. It'd be nice if I could see a whole list, but I cannot. I'm grateful for you guys. I really am. Please feel free to email me anytime. Keep in touch. And sometime in the next 2 or 3 days, we'll do this again. And it's likely to be in the evening again. Just because that's when I'm going to have the opportunity to do that. So thank you very much for spending time with me this evening. And we will talk to you again sometime very soon. Thank you.